Hey, it's Jonathan. I got a question. How do I know when to fire an employee? This is really easy. You know when to fire an employee when you have the thought that I need to fire this employee. Fire him. Sounds brutal, but that's it. It's as simple as that. I didn't get that for the longest time. I'd hire a guy. No, we've hired some really good guys. We got some incredible guys and really haven't made a ton of hiring mistakes. Made a few. Um, if I've made anything, I've made slow firing mistakes. I'll get some guys that I just like them. I want so much for them to have a good life, to make some money, to better themselves, to, you know, grow into something more. That I see some skill in them and I think, this guy, he could do something. He could be something, but he's got some flaw. He's got some character flaw. He's got some self doubt about himself. I don't know. He's got some crazy behavior that, just when he's starting to excel, he does something to sabotage himself. I've just seen crazy stuff. And I think, okay, I'll give him another chance. Or the guy that, and I had a really good employee once that 4 different times he called me drunk and quit. And I put up with it because he was a good guy and I thought he had a lot of potential. Finally, one day, after about 8 months of that, I got smart and fired him. I do not regret it. So it was a really smart business. It was a really smart decision. But I really liked the guy, and I really didn't want to do it. I drug it out way longer than I should have ever done it. I've had other guys that have threatened, "I'm going to quit if you don't do this." When you back down to those guys, and now I firmly believe in being very, very good to your people. I believe in looking at their life and from their perspective. So don't be, you can't, you're the owner, you're the guy making the money, you may be the guy driving the nice big truck. They see that. They think, even if you're not making any money, even if you're not taking anything home, the employees think you are. They believe, hey, he's the big guy, he's making all this money, he's living so good. Even if you're not, that's their perspective. And you have to be very careful about how you talk to them and your language and to get their buy-in. So my point is, look at everything from their perspective. Everything you ask them to do, when you ask them to work till 8 o'clock at night and they don't get to go home and see their family, but maybe you left the office at 6, they notice that stuff. I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm just saying keep that in mind when you're asking stuff of your employees. So I kind of got off on a tangent here. And the reason I started to say that is you've got to be very good to your people. If you're very good to them, I don't mean weak, but if you're good to them, you'll keep them. If you take really good care of them and you look at things through their perspective, from their perspective, it'll allow you to be good to them. And if you're really good to them, like I said, you'll keep them. And the guys that say to you, "I'm going to quit if this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen," you have to stand firm, because if you don't, your other employees will see that you're backing down and that employee will get away with something. So if you got employee A that just goes over and above for you all the time, he does whatever you need from him, and then employee B, half the time he's half-assing it, or half the time he's making some threat, and you bow down to him, how do you think you're making employee A feel? The guy bends over backwards to help you out, and then this guy pitches a fit and he gets away with murder. It really, you lose respect with employee A, or employee no longer wants to bend over backwards for you and do whatever he can. I've kept guys like employee B that have made the threats because I was afraid, I don't know if I can replace this guy. We depended on him, and it just sours the morale with all the other employees. And believe it, the other employees notice. Fire that loser. That's harsh, but fire him. He is causing you serious harm to your business, and you don't realize it. It doesn't manifest itself in day one. It happens slowly over time as you lose respect with the other guys. Very hard to win back. So as soon as you start having the thought, I shouldn't have hired this guy, this is the wrong guy, this guy's bad with the other employees, I know this guy's saying stuff to other employees, he's spreading false rumors. I mean, you can just run the gamut. I don't trust this guy. I don't know if he's mowing yards on the side. I wouldn't let this guy at my office leave this guy at my office when I'm not there. I'd be afraid to give him keys to all my stuff. If you start having thoughts, That's your intuition telling you get rid of him. Start looking for a replacement immediately and fire fast. I really, really believe in it. Almost all my biggest mistakes have been from dragging my feet trying to help people. And I've helped people, and I would bet 1 out of 10 times it works out. Most of the time, people are who they've been. They're not going to change. They burn you once, they'll burn you twice. When you went to hire them at the interview, they said, oh, my last 4 employers, they're all bums, they're all unfair to me. But hey, I'm this incredible employee, look at my resume. Maybe they look incredible, but if the last 4 times they've had problems with their employers, that's telling you something. Don't hire them. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. My point is that you're probably going to know when it's time to fire them. Don't try to talk yourself out of it, because if you're anything like I've been in the past, you're going to try to talk yourself out of it because you don't want to do it. It's a hard choice. It's a hard decision. You're messing with somebody's world. You're messing with their family. Your job is not to support their family. Your job is to hire A players and reward them well for taking care of you and your family, and then you take care of them and their family. That's your job. You owe nobody anything except for the guys that really put it on the line for you, and then you should take really good care of those guys. You should not screw them over. You should be very, very good to them, and you should build them up and turn them into better people. But your job is not to support losers. It's to find studs and cultivate them into better people, raise them up. But for you to raise them up, they have to benefit your company. They have to help you equally as well, and then you can help them. If they're not willing to help you, why in the world do you owe them anything? You owe them nothing. Get rid of them as soon as you know they're a bad employee. Cover yourself legally, do your due diligence, do all the stuff you need to do from a legal standpoint. And I realize laws vary in every state. You can't just easily get rid of somebody in every state. I get all that. But when I'm just talking about when you know you have a problem and when you know you need to get rid of them, start figuring out how it's going to happen. Start covering your butt legally, start planning to find somebody new, and start moving that ball forward, because if you keep them because you think it's going to get better, it probably won't, and they're only going to cost you money, and they'll cost you a lot of money. So that's been my perspective, and I've learned it the hard way. And fortunately, it hasn't been too many times, but I can pretty much say in every single scenario where I thought I shouldn't have hired this guy, or I need to get rid of this guy, dragging it out did me zero good. I should have done it immediately, or at least I should have started working very, very quickly to find a replacement for them. That's pretty much how we do it now, and it's made my life a lot less stressful. So take that for what it's worth.